So this new prisoner's first day in prison, and it's a rough day. It finally gets to the first day. It's night. Everything starts to settle down. It's quiet, and then from the end of the hall, you hear 14. Everybody starts laughing and hooting and hollering and hitting the walls and hitting the cell. Just this laughter goes on for about a minute, and then it starts to settle down. And then you hear a few minutes later, you hear 12. Laughter, everybody's just losing their shit. It goes on and on and on. And the new guy asks his cellmate, goes, what the hell's going on? In the background, you hear 6, all this laughter. And so, the cellmate says to him, he goes, well, there's only so many jokes that can be told so many different ways. We just numbered them after a while. Oh, can I try? And he goes, yeah, give it a try. So he waits for everything to die down. He goes up, puts his face right, through the bars and yells, 8! Nothing. He looks to his cellmate, and the guy says, some people can't tell a joke.
You're not one of them. Hey! Hi, I'm Joe.
I'm Jacques.
And
I'm Jim.
Jim's on the podcast. Ooh, Jim. Jim's sitting right here. Ooh. Carnival personnel won't be the same. Jim is joining the podcast. Joining the podcast. For different tribes. Jim, he's joining the podcast. Though he should be ashamed, cause his podcast is lame. Jim is his name. Jim.
Welcome to Carnival Personnel. 2 for 2 for Jim. This is now record-breaking ground for you.
Like I told you guys, I'm committed. I'm here, and I'm excited to be a part of this.
We can tell by the sound of your voice. I'm excited to be a part of this. I love America.
Yeah, this is great.
Right.
Like I said, I'm just here to defend President Trump's good name.
Oh, man.
Moving on. So everybody who's following us, thank you. Keep posting it on your Facebook and your Instagrams. Like to thank our friend Chris for phoning in and doing last week's Resident Evil sideshow. Got a lot of great feedback. Any ideas for other games or other, worlds or realms or what
franchises? Yeah, put it on our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page. It's called Carnival Podcast. Or don't go to the Carnival Podcast. I know it's confusing, but it's Carnival Personnel. That's the name of our show. But the handle is /Carnival Podcast. We just like to fuck with our audience.
And same thing, you can tweet that at Carnival Podcast or at OptiGrabber for Joe or myself.
You leave me out of this.
Is the Jacques 4. And Jim thinks he has a Twitter thing, but he hasn't figured it out yet.
Yeah, and I actually haven't looked into that since last time.
But Jim swore off Twitter ever since the whole Rose McGowan thing.
If there's one thing that upset him is the whole Harvey Weinstein and his just absolute. It's not the 30s. The casting couch is still, but it's beyond that. But yeah, so Jim swore off Twitter because of Rose McGowan, and we thank you for that.
No,
and that's the official
problem.
That's the official story, and that's the official reason. Yeah,
and we're sticking with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Hey, you know what? I was thinking about one thing with that, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you brought it up, there's got to be, and it would just be for the fact that it would be funny. There's got to be back when Trump, during the whole election and all his issues came up and all the allegations were coming up around his time, there's got to be something out there with Weinstein criticizing him about that behavior.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There's got to be something out there, and
that'll be the nail in his coffin.
No, it's nailed. It'd be nothing. I would just find it funny, and I don't mean it. Not making it political or anything like that.
I just think it's funny.
I think it would
to
be
hear a
great.
producer talk about Trump.
Well, no. So Joe and I were talking about it, and the more it unravels, it's just the worse it gets. For me, aside from the rape, the worst part about it is all the people who allowed it to happen. And, the fact that, what was it, 8 payouts so far, or 8 different people that over just the past few years that they had to settle with for these allegations. And those were the ones that, were big enough to, come forward with it. How many people on the board and are in his realm knew this is a thing? This is part of who he is and how we do business as a company.
I think everybody that worked with him knew, and were complicit. And it's just sort of like, but at some point, if everybody's doing it, is it anybody's fault? Like if everybody's being complicit about it, if everybody's being silent about it, do we now like go after everybody else retroactively, or do we just say, okay, well, if anything, or do we choose as an example, like, okay, so now we know what happens in Hollywood. We know this is a thing, and it's not just Hollywood, by the way. It's every business.
It's every industry,
right? So now, this just sort of make it more of a responsibility for people who know these things are happening in their businesses, that you should come forward with it and damn the repercussions, and don't be afraid, because these things need to be reported.
I'll tell you where it is going to happen. It's going to happen in Miramax, because the FBI is involved in the investigation. I believe that, and again, I'm just going off a report I half heard while I was doing something else. And again, this obviously wouldn't be legal or a legally binding contract, but there was some crazy wording in his contracts around some of this behavior that has come about. There are issues with anybody that may have helped make any sort of arrangements with any of the victims involved in this. There's also potentially any issues, like you said, with anybody that may have helped mask this or disguise this after the fact. Anybody who was involved in any of those payments after the fact or anything like that. One report that I heard that came from, I can't remember his name, but it was a defense attorney, that was speaking on Fox News. He was talking about some of this stuff might fall into RICO, and if that's the case, it could be,
that's huge.
Yeah, you could see a lot of heads roll on this. And you are right; it's going to cause a lot of places, a lot of corporations, probably inside Hollywood as well as outside Hollywood, clean up their culture, if nothing less.
Just on Friday, Robert De Niro, Juliana Moore, and I forget the third person, who had a show in development with Amazon and the Weinstein Company, all came together and said, yeah, we're out. We're out on this project completely because, of this whole thing. But the interesting thing about, the RICO Act, and there was a tape, and I don't know if anybody else heard this, but Rachel Maddow had played the tape. There was a woman who this happened to. She went right to the police. Like, it wasn't a week later, a month later. It's like, oh, well, why did she wait? Went right to the police, and they set up a sting operation. So he's on tape talking to her. So they set up another meeting.
Oh, what did they say?
And he flat out is apologizing for it, saying, well, hey, this is just kind of how I do things sometimes, yada, 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 but I'm really sorry. I won't do it again. Just come back to my office, for 5 minutes. Let's talk this out, because they were in like a restaurant. And she's like, no, I don't feel comfortable. I don't trust. Anyway, they have it all on tape. The district attorney, lo and behold, never moved forward with it. It's the same district attorney who, and again, everything will always circle back to this, and I'm not going to apologize for it, but it is the same district attorney who had the emails between Donald Jr., his sister, and like 5 other people. They were selling apartments. This happened at the same time in Soho, that they're like, Donald Jr. in the email says, yeah, this is completely illegal. The only people who know are on this email. Let's keep it like here.
Yeah.
That got out, and a donation was made from the Trump family fund to this guy for his reelection. And the same thing, the Weinstein Company made a donation to this guy. So it's both sides are, using this one DA, and this goes away. And I don't know if the RICO then goes to that guy, because every rape, and this goes back to everything like this, as soon as you knew about Sandusky and that incident in the shower, every kid who was raped after that is on the people who didn't report it. It's on him, of course. It's on Weinstein, of course. They don't get a pass because somebody else should have stopped him. But anybody who knew this stuff, so everybody, I'm glad to hear that there's a RICO thing, because the only way people are going to step forward is that they have to.
And again, I'm not saying that there is a RICO thing. I know the FBI, the report was that the FBI was involved in the investigation, and what the attorney that was speaking was alluding to is one of the things he could imagine that it could be was that there potentially was RICO charges in the mix, or at least being investigated. So I don't think that's an official thing that it's in there, but he said it certainly could be something that they're looking at.
How much did Rose McGowan
Rose McGowan apparently settled years ago with Harvey Weinstein or the company for $100,000 with her sexual assault charges. But she was banned on Twitter a couple of days ago, because in her fervor to out Harvey Weinstein and to call out producers who are complicit with his activities, she tweeted out a private phone number of a producer, and Twitter based on that, said, okay, well, we have to suspend your account because it's against our policy to allow people to tweet out, people's phone numbers because it's considered harassment. Twitter's harassment policies aside, okay, so she went a one, little step beyond, not a big deal. She got back on Twitter. And because of Twitter's response to her being suspended, she called for everybody all women to boycott Twitter on Friday, which, great that there's sort of like a movement there, but at the same time, it's almost like, well, you're trying to make your voice heard. Why?
Well, because
I know they're making a statement.
Well, at the same time, you hurt Twitter. The less people using Twitter, like their revenue goes down. You get paid for views on the
absolutely
on the click,
right.
And it's the same thing. The only reason, and we may or may not touch on this. Let's not touch on it, other than the fact that the whole reason now Jerry Jones with the NFL is coming up is the ratings have started to go down. There has been a backlash because of this, and it hits them in the pocketbook. And so Rose McGowan's thing is like, even if there's 1 million, 2 million, 5 million people less on Twitter just for a day, does that translate into $5, $10, $15 million of ad sales for them? And then does that force Twitter? I don't know what her end goal was.
But it's almost like, does this movement actually gain traction for Twitter? Like, did it work against them? So I don't know the analytics, and I'll never look into it because I'm not that interested in the analytics of Twitter. But it's just it's odd. How do you do something like that and make it be effective? But one thing she is doing now, that since she was reinstated on Twitter, is that now she's calling out Jeff Bezos of Amazon, because apparently when she was writing a script for Amazon, she was shopping the script to one of the movie studios, or the Amazon, somebody at Amazon Studios, and she told this one producer about her allegations of Harvey Weinstein, and he said, well, that's just there's no proof, you can't really say that it hasn't been proven. She's like, well, I'm the proof. I'm telling you what. Yeah, and so there was some complicity there where they squashed it and they didn't move forward with it. So now. Amazon is on the chopping block as far as Rosa McGowan's concerned, and she's building up a case against all of these this sort of culture, at least in Hollywood.
Good.
People.
And again, like I said, that's what it's going to do. If nothing else, it's going to rattle the culture.
Yeah.
Just coming over the phone wires as we're talking about it. CNN News. Motion Picture Academy votes to expel Harvey Weinstein after multiple allegations of sexual assault and sexual harassment.
And I think he's the first one to be expelled.
Oh, okay.
Off that. Like the British thing had done it the other day, and so now they were talking about they're good.
He's the Pete Rose of the Academy.
Okay, so let's get on to some happier stuff real quick. We're not going to go too deep into all this stuff, but 55 failed attempts by the House and Senate to repeal Obamacare. The Bloatus, Jim's friend, who has said that 1,000 times over that Obama was lazy and couldn't work with other people, which is why he abused his executive power and abused the pen in the White House. Yet again, decided to unilaterally gut Obamacare. So justify every move he's ever done, Jim.
On this just topic, or on everything
no,
he's ever done?
we'll start with
I'll give you
Asia.
a quick rundown, and I'll try to do it before Joe blows the
Trump whistle.
Before Joe blows the Trump whistle.
They got the 2-minute warning. Go.
So, long story short, what we have here is we have
failure to communicate.
Yeah, we have a failure to communicate, and 100%. I'm going to tell you this straight up. I'm going to tell you where I stand on this. This is 100% on the Republicans. It is not on Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been more than patient with this. When Donald Trump was running, he was going to repeal and he was going to replace. That was out there. Nobody didn't know it. Nobody who didn't vote for him didn't know it. Nobody who did vote for him knew it. Basically, long story short, is we got about $135 billion since 2013, about $7 billion a year, somewhere in around that. That was allotted. It was put out by the Obama administration, and I don't mean that. I'm not meaning that negatively. It's just a fact that during the administration, when the Affordable Care Act was coming into place, they realized that they were going to need appropriations to fund it. What happened was when they went to Congress for the appropriations, it didn't get funded. They held out. They weren't going to fund it. So what they did was they funded it. In a power move. They just started funding the bill. That ended up in court, in a federal court at the district level in a federal court where it was upheld. It was overturned. It was said, hey, you can't do it. The Constitution is pretty clear. It says that the only one who has control over the purse of the government is Congress. However, along with overturning it, the Judge Rosemary Collier, in overturning the decision saying that you are unconstitutionally funding the Affordable Care Act, I'm going to stay my own decision while the Obama administration appeals it. During the appeal, which is still out there, it kept getting paid. The idea was they had to keep the money coming in because it was the only thing that was going to keep the insurance providers active in the exchanges. And beyond that, I don't have much to add for it other than this isn't on Trump. Honestly, Senator Ryan had a big political media display trying to get this done. He failed.
Yep.
It also got failed with the Cassidy bill there. Who am I thinking of?
Right.
Graham
Cassidy.
It twice. The Republic they put the ball in the Republican hands twice.
Before
and it didn't get done.
Well,
So
it didn't get done because it was so horrible.
I'm not saying that there wasn't concerns with it. I'm saying the Republicans, whatever they needed to work out, they didn't get it done. Without getting into all the details, they didn't get it done. What he did was he took about $130 billion worth of funding off the table, which that's a lot of money. Okay, and that's gonna force them to get this done. It's gonna force them to get this done. There's been Democrats that have said there's things that need to be done.
So this is sort of a power play. This is like he's forcing their hand. He's forcing Congress's hand.
It's forcing their hand.
And that's what I was going to ask: is that the executive orders they can also kind of be taken with a grain of salt because sometimes they're not enforceable. They can be overturned.
Right.
So it's sort of like a lot of it is just for show.
And,
and for the base, but in this case, by holding up the funding. But the biggest thing is you said.
But how do you? I mean, these things aren't necessarily enforced.
The $130 billion is cost sharing reductions. Okay, and the way the law is written is the people who cannot provide for themselves insurance aren't going to be affected by this. That $130,000 is going to come from the people who can pay the premium. So it's not going to actually affect the people at the bottom. The people that the Affordable Care Act is most targeted towards, it's not going to affect them because through 2018, the contracts with the states and everything else are signed with the insurance providers. Through the law, they have to provide that.
Okay, Jacques of all trades, go. I'll be John McLaughlin.
John McLaughlin. Cue ball.
Right.
Skinhead O'Connor. I'm looking at you, cue ball, and I'm thinking, anyway. So they.
Frank Sinatra.
No, but it is. It's one of those things where the biggest problem with Mitch McConnell not getting it done or Paul Ryan not getting it done, they were going to repeal, and replace, and they never had a real replace. It was never, these are the problems, we're going to fix it. It was always just repeal. And when the CBO comes back, 33 million people are going to be thrown off this. 26 million people are going to be thrown off it. And again, like the RICO thing, if you know you're signing a bill that is going to have 33 million people not be able to get insurance. And the other thing is like the whole thing with sabotaging the Obamacare since he's got in office. Like they keep taking down the website on the weekends for maintenance. Like the only time people aren't working and can maybe sign up, that's getting into the minutia of it. But the big thing is he always said that, Obama couldn't get anything done. That's why he had to, get these executive, and that's the only thing he's got done. And again, how much is what you're really saying, which is great data. Thank you, Jim. But how much of it is, okay, I have a checklist of things that the black guy did that I got to get rid of. Let's take it one by one. Almost everything he's done is take things away. What has he given Joe, what has he given you, the middle class, hardworking American dad?
Ajita.
There you go.
Wait, now, this is all great, guys. This whole political talk is great, but can we do it in freestyle rap form, please? That's the only way I'm going to listen.
I can't do it.
Now, so I'm segueing kind of out of this a little bit because I don't want to spend 3 hours on all these topics.
Yeah, we need a Trump whistle.
So that's the Trump whistle. My Trump whistle it's kind of a Trump whistle. It has to do with Trump. Eminem last week taped a freestyle rap for like 4 minutes it was an anti-Trump rap that they aired on the Hip Hop Awards on BET, which I know, Jim, you were DVRing. I don't know if you got around to watching it, but so
I don't even know when it was on.
Right, BET is a channel. So, but I saw it online, and it was pretty decent. There was you could tell he was freestyling because there were a lot of false starts, and he was kind of like picking himself up. But then when he got going, he rhymed orange. Like, this is how good of an Eminem rapper Eminem is. He rhymed orange because his skin was orange, and I can't do him justice. But the reason I'm bringing him up is I'm kind of pissed. The reason being is that for this show, for this episode, I actually was going to do a little anti-Trump rap of my own. He kind of stole my thunder, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm playing it anyway. This is my anti-Trump rap.
Trump is bad, everybody. Yeah, everybody, Trump is bad. He says make America great again, but not for you. And I've come here to remind you all of the shit he's put us through. He started off with a Muslim travel ban, tried to throw Obamacare in the can, cried voter fraud even though he won, plays warhead games with Kim Jong-un. He wants trans soldiers to take a hike, though he never met a Nazi he didn't like. He golfs every weekend on the country's dime, but Puerto Rican relief isn't worth his time. And though he's out of shape and his hands are small, he still wants to build that fucking wall. So if you think my rap is just fake news, you probably think the media is run by the Jews. Break.
Out fucking standing.
Very creative. Very creative.
That was me dropping the mic and breaking it.
That was me knocking the knife.
Is this thing on?
Wow. And what was more, it was almost impressive is some of those raps was Jim's interpretive dance of the rap. I mean, that you know, if we were on the visual medium to go, Joe, that was absolutely great. Fan-effing-tastic.
That's actually my real voice. What I'm doing now is shtick.
Oh, that is great. Good. More of that. More of that.
That's all I got.
Okay.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I think that's more than any of us have contributed so far today.
But was I wrong? Was I wrong?
No, nothing. Like, you know, and again, like, the whole, like you were saying, with you hope that there's, and there probably is Weinstein coming out during the pussy grabbing thing and probably said anti-Trump stuff. You know, what I love is when you put the things side by side, and I don't know if you saw all, like, because you mentioned Puerto Rico, which is still, it's nothing's getting done. I mean, the problems are getting worse. I mean, more people are dying because of the bacteria and stuff.
That's something getting done.
They send down that ship that what is that ship called? The Comfort, the USS Comfort. Have you seen pictures of this thing?
I have not. I know the FBI is starting an investigation,
but they're
down there,
really
right? Yeah.
They're investigating FEMA.
They're investigating. I believe there's been politicians down there stealing the supplies that have been sent.
Oh my God!
But they have,
I believe that's what
they have this floating fortress called the USS Comfort. It's the size of, like, you know, like the Empire State Building. Like, honestly, it has 800 doctors, 500 beds. It has a team of engineers. They could be treating the water. They have all these resources. It's there. It's docked.
Yep.
As of yesterday, they were treating 9 people. Okay. Nine critically people who, like, you know, on death's door type thing. But there's a lack of this. But the point is, FEMA last week said we're not going to take Cruz's calls, the mayor of San Juan. And at the same time, Trump tweets out, like, we can't stay there forever. And people keep posting side by side with Houston. He's like, Houston, we're going to be there today, tomorrow, all through the rebuilding. We're with you. And on the other hand, he's saying flat out to Puerto Rico, hey, brown people who aren't real citizens, you're citizens, but are you real citizens? But at least he did talk to the president of U.S. Virgin Islands the other day. So I think there's movement on that. Have you followed this?
I did hear that.
I did not
hear that. I didn't see that, but I did hear that he had referred to him as, like, president or something like that.
You know, but one of the problems is too many grown-ups, like too many adults around him, have been leaving the White House, and everybody for the last week was saying that that Mantis, you know, his chief of staff might be leaving.
Praying Mantis?
And he, if I'm saying, he was director of Homeland Security. But since he came over for Rice previous, there's been no director of Homeland Security, but he, or is it Jim Kelly? Is it John Kelly who's
Jim Kelly is
John Kelly.
He was the quarterback of the bill.
Four losing Super Bowls. Why right? But but at least now, as of Friday, there is a director of Homeland Security for the first time in 4 months that oversees FEMA. So maybe things start moving in the right direction. But that is a concern of everybody, is how many, you know, quality, you know, as they keep being referred to as the grown-ups in the office who's kind of keeping things actually running, like Rex Tittleson, who's probably on his way out.
I can't believe we're saying that Rex Tillerson is the brains of this operation.
That we don't want him to leave because we're fearful of who might replace him as Secretary of State.
Good golly, Miss Molly.
But seriously, what would you have? What is your thinking on this?
I mean, I don't. Again, I haven't paid much attention to anything with. I heard one that there was some concern raised by Tillerson. I haven't heard anything about him leaving or being interested in leaving. I don't know if you're reading something or seeing something. I'm not. So I haven't heard that. I haven't heard anything as far as anybody else leaving. I can't think of her name. I did hear her acceptance speech for the being nominated for the position,
right.
and hopefully she gets in there. But
well, here's the one.
Beyond that, I haven't heard of anybody specifically that was leaving. I mean, you always hear that there's angst and that people are arguing and there's fighting. I mean, that seems to be an ongoing broken record as far as what we're talking about.
But that's what it's funny that you point that out. You know, from day one, since before he was actually the inauguration, and he talked about Rex taking over Secretary of State. I was like, well, this guy had the Medal of Citizenship put on his lapel by Putin. Is this the guy we want in charge? And now 10 months later, it's like,
please don't leave.
Please don't, because
go,
you know, so many of the other people put in positions, you know, don't really make sense. But anyways, I think Joe officially blew the Trump whistle. So let's get on to the next fun topic. Joe laments quite a bit about that he doesn't have a life, that he spends too much time at the house playing his video games and watching his old game shows. But a couple weeks ago, it was Ren Fair, and now tomorrow he has another big field trip.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yes, yesterday he had another big field trip. Why don't you tell us today about the field trip that you took?
I'm going. What the fuck? We were taping this on Saturday, so Sunday, going to Retro World Expo, which is currently happening today as well in Hartford, Connecticut, at the Hartford Convention Center, I think it's called, or the Connecticut Convention Center. In Hartford, home of the Whalers.
The defunct Whalers.
Yeah, the defunct. Oh God,
maybe they're a defunct sponsor.
Oh, they should be. So they do this every year. They've been doing it the past 3 years. They're it's a bunch of 40-year-old guys that commiserate over trading and buying and selling old video games, and they play old arcade games, and there's like YouTube personalities there. Yes, there's.
Do they have like a whole like stand-up arcade? Like it's just like
like they truck in like 30 or 40 arcade machines and put it all on free play. I mean, so you pay your admission, and then if you can stake out a spot at the Galaga machine, and you can muscle out all the people behind you, you can spend quite some time on there. But yeah, I take the kids, and they seem to enjoy it, and I seem to enjoy it, and we're going to go again this year, and I'll pick up a copy of Mega Man 6 or something. I don't know.
When you say retro, how far back does retro go? So they want to have like
they'll have Atari games there.
Okay, better question is how new? Like when does retro stop? Is PS3 games now retro?
Yeah, because it's previous.
It's
console.
Wii games.
Well, I mean, Wii
U games.
They
retro.
also make they also have like retro themed. They call it Retro World Expo. It's just a video game convention, but they mainly focus on old video games, and there will be cosplay there too. I know that question was looming. Will there be cosplay?
It is,
and so there will be cosplay. There'll be actually like a professional cosplayer there. She's like some YouTube personality. I don't know. She's not like nobody's a huge star that's appearing at this expo.
Pat Country.
Pat Country.
Excuse me.
Right, the Game Chasers.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Hello?
Jesus Christ, John.
Yeah.
The one book I've cracked the binder on in the last 2 years. How dare you besmirch the name?
No, I will not besmirch or besmirch the name of Pat Contra. But no, it'll be a good time. And I don't know. If anybody's got any requests, are you dying for an old video game? Maybe I should pull up one of those old Resident Evils. I'll come back with an old Resident Evil.
That'd be great.
Yeah, or if I can find, Chris, if you're listening, if I can find one of those light guns from my PlayStation, I'll find a Resident Evil and a light gun.
And then we'll do a whole walkthrough. You can do the whole Resident Evil.
Exactly. We'll do a whole Let's Play.
This is your second year in a row going? Or are you 3 for 3? 3 for 3.
This will be my 3 year.
And they've only been doing it 3 years?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, up here in the Northeast, like I guess like in the South and in California and the Northwest, like Seattle area, like they have like it's a big community, a lot of honkies over there that like trading old video games. But up here, it's not as hot. Like
So trading,
but this expo apparently does well enough.
But you won't be bringing it in to trade. You will just be purchasing.
No,
Okay.
I did bring stuff to trade previous years, but I'm all traded out now. Now, I mean, honestly, I should be trading everything for like money and then stopping.
No. Break down what the
I will.
girl to guy ratio at one of these.
A girl to guy.
Yeah.
Oh, like I don't know. I don't know, like one.
I mean, like a Comic-Con.
Like it's 1 in 4, maybe.
A Comic-Con, it's not 50-50.
It's like 25%.
But a Comic-Con, it's closer to 50-50 now as time goes on.
Yeah, Comic-Con's a whole different animal. This is more of like a middle-aged guy kind of thing, or like a 20-year-old something raised by a middle-aged guy that's now lost and isn't in touch with his own generation.
Video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever, like, in the last 2 years, seen something that, like, fuck, I never thought I'd see one of these in person. Like either an obscure game
like a
system.
console. Yeah, like an old console. Like they made apparently like Nintendo or Samsung or Sony made like Panasonic. They made a TV with a Nintendo built in. Like I didn't know that existed, and I saw one there, and I'm like, wow, why isn't this in my living room?
Is there a lot of like Japanese only stuff that gets imported over for these, or things that like only were released there originally?
Yeah, they have like imports, and they have like a lot of like these booths are like people who also develop like artwork. They're like homemade games. Like people still program games for the Nintendo and sell it. So there's like a little. It's a niche market. I don't know. It's fun. There's a lot of there's a lot of like Nintendo stuff there. A lot of Sega stuff.
I actually thought about this the other day, and Joe is going to laugh when I say this. Joe is living the dream, and I honestly mean that. If I asked 14-year-old Joe what a perfect life would be, and I said, you're going to have a whole room where you're surrounded by every game you've ever wanted to play, and that you could eat pizza every day if you wanted to, would you think that is a perfect life? If I told 14-year-old Joe you were going to have, what is there, half a dozen TVs
Jim can answer
here?
This question.
With a life-sized Homer Simpson.
Life-size Homer Simpson.
Thanks to my friend Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, no,
that's a donation. This couch is Jim's. By the
but
way.
when you look around the studio,
I don't want
the
to.
lair, and you see all your like honestly going to this retro thing.
Are you making fun of me?
I am absolutely 100% not. If I asked,
No, I wouldn't have
Joe,
thought. No, I would have been like, "Wow, that's sad." Like I had the wherewithal to know that this is not the existence that should be lived by a 40-year-old man. Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
I mean, it's good. It's pretty cool, but it's like at the same time, like, what the fuck, dude? It's just like looking around. Like honestly, like every one of these games costs like on average $5, maybe $4. Multiply all that times money.
No, because I don't do math.
Right. You know?
What am I, Asian?
And cut.
No, but seriously, I thought that the other day. I thought, but seriously, and I was thinking that. I was like thinking, if you wanted to eat pizza whenever you wanted to and all that kind of stuff, and then I walk into the house today, what had you just ordered?
What did I? Oh, rolls.
Bertucci's.
Bertucci.
Yeah,
Well, no, but it
Bertucci's.
wasn't
Pizza in the fridge.
Oh yeah, there's a pizza from yesterday. Yeah. Well, you know, so I don't know much about nutrition.
But that's I mean that honestly, if I, there's so many people that I know, honestly, if like, Chris, who we had on the podcast last week.
He's living his own dream.
He is living his own dream.
Right. You're living your dream.
I sadly am.
Every day is Halloween for you guys, which will be another podcast.
Which is another podcast, maybe next week's podcast.
Right.
And honestly, because, what do I got? I got a superhero t-shirt.
By the way, so I'm just going to fuck things up right now. While we're talking about video games, get it out of the way. Let's do the video game review now.
Let's get it done now?
Yeah, just get it done now.
All right, well, let's have it.
And then,
Jim, would you do the honors?
Yeah, you take your headphones off first. Make sure you don't pull the table with you.
Knock it off this Price is Right game.
Hey, that Price is Right game cost me $10 in real life.
He might not be the brightest, but he's really good looking, ladies. Ladies. Who are we talking? Biff, he is really good looking.
He likes it. Okay, don't show me. He pulled it off the top shelf. It's Castlevania 3.
I've never heard of this game.
Oh, no, it's not. Oh, shit, I fucked up. It's not Castlevania 3. What is it?
It's
I took Castle. You know why? Castlevania 3 is in my Nintendo right now.
Oh, because
so there's a gap already there.
You know, jumping ahead, this week's sideshow will be a Castlevania sideshow.
Looking forward to it. All right, so what is this game actually? I fucked up.
It is Arch Rivals.
Oh wow! All right, I got it. Arch Rivals. Yeah, it's kind of like NBA. This is like NBA Jam before NBA Jam. Like
Gotcha.
It's like an arcade kind of jokey version of basketball. I think it's like a 4-on-4 kind of thing or a 3-on-3 kind of thing. And it's made by Acclaim. It's based on an arcade game, and it's like basically it's one of those games like NBA Jam where you can elbow people, you can punch them, you can do whatever, and you can do these outrageous slam dunks. It's on the NES, so the graphics aren't as nearly as great as they would be on like a Sega Genesis, like NBA Jam was. But so this is like the precursor to NBA Jam. Which is a much, much better game in my opinion. And now Jacques is going to... Jacques going over to my bookshelf. That's a load-bearing book, by the way. Be careful. He's grabbing the Ultimate Nintendo.
By who?
By Pat Contry.
Who will be?
He is appearing right now at the Retro World Expo in Hartford, Connecticut. Get your tickets now.
For yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. For yesterday. So now he's going to look up how much. No, he's looking up the. He's looking up the rating and what Pat wrote about it. I don't know. You know what? This isn't going to get Pat to retweet our Carnival Personnel podcast.
It doesn't hurt to try, my friend. You'd be surprised, my friend.
Right.
You'd be surprised.
Arch Rivals. He gave it 2.5 stars. This review was not written by Pat. I don't know who wrote this one. Oh, no, Ian. This was written by his friend Ian, who does a podcast with called The Completely Unnecessary Podcast. Anyways, I know all this is like Greek to everybody. This is a fair home console port of the No Fouls arcade basketball game of the same name. Gameplay takes place from a horizontal scrolling perspective with 2-on-2 action. And that's enough of that. But yeah, it's kind of it's like wait for NBA Jam. Play NBA Jam. Don't play Arch Rivals. Nor would you, because it's 2017.
But if you were going to the, if you gone to Connecticut yesterday to Hartford,
which I did,
what do you think that would be going for?
I'm gonna say $4, but $4.20, Bob.
Oh, see, no, I don't know. I didn't let you guess because you might have been closest without going over, and then you would have won.
This item is no longer available. Oh, sorry, there it is.
These are the sold ones.
There it is. $6.64. Okay.
See, when you pointed the games and said $5 each, you vastly underestimate the wild. But okay, between the cost of going to that, between these games. We got to come up with some ad dollars in quickly.
I gotta go to the store, guys. The money store.
I'm Phil Rizzuto for the Money Store, where we can help make your dreams come true. Can you imagine what you could do with $5,000, $10,000, $50,000? You could pay off all your debts, invest in business, or use the money for anything you desire. Imagine anything you desire. Want more information? Call the Money Store toll-free. In New Jersey, dial 800-672-1001. In Connecticut, dial 1-800-842-1105.
Moving on to something a little less dark, or maybe more dark, depending on which avenue you go. Netflix. Are they now the de facto comedy outlet, like television, cable outlet for comedy?
Yes.
I mean, it used to be HBO for 20 years.
Yeah, I think now because Netflix is so... A, it's fucking awesome. B, you don't need to buy it as part of some weird fucked up cable package. You know, you're not paying... Like, I have HBO with my cable package. I don't have Nessun, and I don't have ESPN, but I have HBO. So, but all that is rolled into like an exorbitant amount of money. Netflix, $9.99 a month, or it just went up to like $10 or $11 a month. Fuck it, I'll pay. Yeah, and you
completely unlimited. Like truly.
So Netflix is the most accessible medium, and it's available on everything. Like you can watch it on your phone, you can watch it on your TV, you can watch it on your computer. You know, you don't have to be married to that goddamn cable box that just eats up energy. Watch the John Oliver report on how he blew up a cable. And then going off rails
okay,
here.
but Comedy Central used to do them. Does Comedy Central even do? Like they have like the Live at Gotham shows and stuff.
No,
like that?
They do have like midnight Comedy Central presents. like on Friday evenings. They do. So Comedy Central does that. I know Showtime does specials as well as HBO.
But you got HBO. I mean, what's the last time? I mean, off the top of your head, do you remember the last couple stand-up specials you've seen on HBO or Cinemax?
Honestly, I'm not as on top of stand-up comedy as I probably should be for somebody who likes comedy.
Do you watch a lot of stand-up, Jim?
I don't watch a lot of stand-up. I do love stand-up. I used to really love stand-up, but just with my old self now and my old life with my kids, I just don't have time to watch a lot. But
well, I work out of a home office, and a lot of times I would have iHeartRadio streaming, the 24/7 comedy channel, and which is great. It's always just short bits, and sometimes it's really hit or miss. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes, but I'm thinking it's been a good 6 or 8 months, and it seems like 90% of what I've heard on it is the same. So I've started a while ago to just kind of leave Netflix on in the background. And it sometimes isn't the most wise decision because you'll get caught up. It's like, oh, this is a good bit. So instead of just streaming it through the phone or the computer, it says no visual, I'll just, catch watching it. But I see a lot of stand-up specials. I probably watch 1 or 2 stand-up specials a week. And it's, and then, the other day when Ralphie May died, it was great to be able to just go back and watch like his last 4 specials. And I don't know if they were all originally Netflix specials, but Netflix seems to have unlimited amount of specials.
Patton Oswalt's got a special coming up, and I think next week this week.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah.
Right. And then, look, there's other great outlets. I know Sarah Silverman has a new show coming on Hulu, but it seems one point or another, most of these specials, whether it's HBO or these old ones on Comedy Central, end up, being filtered out there. But as far as original ones, the Seinfeld one, the documentary that we both talked about like last week and stuff like that.
Well, these are big flagship comedians that cut deals. So, Seinfeld cut a deal. Chris Rock cut a high money deal with Netflix for specials.
Wasn't Dave Chappelle's crazy?
They just released not too long ago. They got about $6 billion lined up to spend on original content versus Apple, who is trying to get into the market or expand into the market with their Apple TV. They have allotted about $1 billion to purchase new original content. Right now, the king of the hill is Netflix. They're at I believe $6 billion they have on hand, ready to go to purchase new content for anybody who's looking to invest in these media venues. And Apple is trying to get in the game. It's I play around with it all the time. Not that I got a ton of money to invest, but Apple's been pretty successful in everything else that they've had their hand in. And now that they're expanding, it might be worth throwing a little cash that way.
I'm wondering
to see what it can do.
I'm also sorry to cut you off. I'm wondering if Amazon will also get into the act because they're looking to put in.
Yeah, I think actually they came up to I want to say they're around like $1 billion too or something.
No, they're sinking real money, but everybody is. I've been dealing with our future guest Rich. He has a show on Cinemax right now, but he has a package of people together, like some really big animators, like the team that created Adult Swim, Mike Judge, and a few other people have put together a package of programming for Verizon because more and more people, like you just said with Netflix, you don't have to have a cable box. You can watch Netflix wherever you are on your phone. And you sound like an advertisement, but that's exactly what it was. I was at the gym yesterday. Jumping ahead to the sideshow, one of the episodes I watched of Castlevania was, while on the elliptical. I streamed it and watched it. But
that's a cartoon.
Yeah,
that's a cartoon, and it's based on
Castlevania. Yeah, exactly.
And the Netflix original.
Yeah,
a 4-episode Netflix original. But Verizon knows that you're watching on your phone too, and they're also trying to get into the digital. But I think Netflix, like you said, if they have $6 billion, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, so wrapping it up real quick, Jacques, what are your recommendations? Do you have any recommendations for Netflix specials?
I do, like the last Sarah Silverman one. I think we've talked about that before. Completely cringeworthy.
Right.
and awful.
What's it called? Like
a speck of dust, I think.
yeah.
And it's like, by awful, I mean she takes you by the hand and leads you down the road and looks in your eyes and says she loves you right as she walks you into a telephone pole. Like, you don't see the
it's on a garbage truck?
you don't see the punchline coming half the time, and it will be
bless
awful, and you'll be like, oh my God, that's awful. Then she gets out a shovel and just makes it. It's like, it is hilariously cringeworthy. Maria Bamford, her last two, and one of them, she's not standing on a stage. She's doing stand-up in a variety of different rooms. Like, she's in a library and then a coffee shop and then a bus station. So it's her stand-up routine, but kind of in awkward, weird situations.
When I was toying with doing stand-up years ago, I always dreamed of filming a special, of doing a stand-up special on a subway platform. Just like, for like an hour straight, just like having that as my, no, don't sell any tickets or make money or anything like that.
If there's one thing, most of your amazing ideas come with, and first you get the underwear.
Right. And then there's question mark. And then equals dollar sign.
Gold.
Yeah, you'd be competing with the train, some guy playing
Exactly, right.
playing a guitar.
Right.
Do you know how to pronounce
Can you
that?
fuck my hand, sir? I'm trying to do my act.
Pronounce that name.
Oh my God! Is he Silverman?
No, the first one to me.
Brady. No, he's pointing at names here. Oh God!
I don't know how to pronounce a guy's last name, and I don't want to push it.
God.
I'm a racist, and I don't know how to pronounce a guy's name.
No,
but
Hassan Minaj. Minaj. Yeah.
His stand-up was effing awesome.
Yeah, I know Hassan.
Effing awesome. Like, I could not, like, it's probably the best stand-up I saw in a while, because I didn't know anything about him or his background, and he had a couple just moments where I'm like, talk about living the dream. Like, he got fucked over at one point in life that got to, basically even the score with the person who had wronged him but in a very organic, natural way. The chance to say, hey, fuck you, came up, and he did. And it wasn't like you kind of waiting for, as he's telling the story, to kind of a spoiler alert, but as you're kind of waiting for him to, so I decided to be the bigger person. Well, the right thing to do was this. No, the right thing was to say, fuck you. But
it sounds funnier on the Netflix.
It does a lot. What doesn't sound funnier on that? Dramedies about, cancer kids sounds funnier than me.
You know what's not funny? The Patriots defense.
Do we want to tackle this? Do you want to take this, Jim? Have you seen any? So Brady in 2002, his first full season, was sacked 41 times. He's on pace to be sacked 53 times.
I'm talking about the defense here, not the offensive line.
The defense is bad, but truly, the defense is bad, and like we talked, historically bad. I mean, this past week last week they held a bad Jets team. But honestly, Brady was on the injury report all week. He didn't practice 2 days this week. It was his unthrowing. It was his left shoulder and possibly his throwing hand. But yeah, I mean, it really concerns me. Even if he wasn't 40, the beating he's taking is pretty epic.
I think the Bucs game was very telling for me on where I think this team is at right now. So I am not willing to say the Jets are a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. Should they win the game? Yeah, they should. I don't see it as a gimme. I'm afraid to say that it's a gimme. There's too many chances for big plays the other way right now. There's too many chances for penalties on fourth downs.
The stupid awful.
It's not good. It's not a definite. We can't think it's a definite. Would I love to see them come out and be the Patriots and beat a bad Jets team the way they should beat a bad Jets team? I would love to see that. I think it would be foolish right now to say that that's a guarantee that what we're going to see, given what I saw in that last Patriots. A good field goal kicker, or a good day, or a regular day for their kicker last week and we don't win
different
that game.
story. The funny thing is, listening to Jet fans in the media, the Jets were competing with Buffalo in the offseason to see how many players they could unload from their salary cap and how many people they could clear contracts for, and suck. They were fighting for the bottom to get the good draft pick coming out this year. It was another suck for luck thing what the Colts did a few years ago, and now Jet fans are like, We're 3-2. We're supposed to be 0-5.
Yeah.
Like we can't even fuck up right. We're that bad because they know. And look, we all know, and I mean by we all, everybody in football, the Patriots are going to figure something out. They're not going to be. I can pretty much say the undefeated season's out the window. I'm ready to go out on a limb and say
he did say that he wasn't good at math because he's not of a certain race.
But I think the undefeated season is a great bit in question right now. But at 4-2 because they played the Jets yesterday.
No, we're not doing that.
All right,
potentially at 3-3 because
or
they played
3-3.
the Jets
right.
yesterday.
Okay, so we're not going to skirt around this. We're doing Jacques' lock of last week.
28-10.
28-10 Jets. You heard it here first.
No, and so Jet fans know, Bills fans know, Miami fans know the Patriots are going to win the division by 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 games. They're going to figure it. And all the Jet fans are like, great, we'll win 6 games, we'll win 7 games, and we're picking the middle of the draft instead of one of the first 2 or 3 picks. So Jet fans are actually pissed that their team has won a couple games. And they know, look, they have the Falcons coming up. Joe and I will probably be at the Falcons Jets game in a couple weeks. They know the Patriots are going to figure things out. They know they lucked out by playing a couple really crappy teams. But the big concern is, can the Patriots defense straighten it out? And can you keep Brady from being sacked a record amount of times in his career?
I'm sorry if I missed it. What do you have first? What are you thinking first score for this?
28-10.
28-10 Patriots? No way. I don't see that at all. I could see 28-10 going into the fourth quarter, and then the Patriots coughing it up a little bit. I could definitely see that. They haven't played well enough to show that they're going to be able to stop a team.
Do you think the Patriots are going to give up like 14 points or 18 points?
I could say. I mean, they've come out strong in a lot of the 2 losses that they've had. They've come out fairly strong. They wane
at the game
as they go on in the third and fourth quarter. You could see that Carolina game slipping away from them from the middle of the third quarter on.
But they
rallied. They
do rally. Yeah, I mean
they rallied in that game. I don't think that's going to be a regular thing, to be honest with you. From what I'm seeing so far,
they don't want it to be.
They certainly rallied in that game. They came out real strong in the beginning against Kansas City. That looked like, all right, we're going to win this. 35-21, somewhere in that. That's what everybody. That's what that game looked like after the first 2 or 3 offensive series. Things changed quick. They are waning in third quarters of football games. That's my concern. I could see this being a lot closer.
Do you think we need a 5th quarter?
All right, enough about the Patriots. We can talk baseball a little bit. The Sox fired their coach, who should have been fired 3 years ago.
John Farmer.
Only reason they didn't is he got cancer at the right time, and that sounds like an awful thing to say. And if you don't follow the team, he got cancer at the right time, and so they couldn't fire him. And then by accident, they won their division last year, got swept in the playoffs, and they did their best to not win. They had last year's Cy Young and the year before Cy Young pitcher. They were supposed to win 100 games and run away with it this season. They backed into the playoffs. They won the division by 2 games and were not swept. But they're out of it.
Yeah, it looked like they were going to be able to push a Game 5 there, and then it kind of all fell apart, obviously.
So they're without a coach. And what about Game 5 in the National League divisional round?
So this is just what I wanted to throw out there and discuss with you, Jacques, Joe, see what you think. As far as a product, I mean, we're talking about this game almost pushed 5 hours, finished after midnight. That's a commitment. That's a real commitment. And as far as everybody, I don't know how much you listen to sports radio, Joe, or anything like that, but I mean, they're constantly talking about the length of these games and that something's got to be done. This was an exciting game. It finished 9-8. It was back and forth. I get all that, but I just wonder if something's got to be done, in my opinion, about the length of these games, or baseball is going to continue to wane.
Well, this isn't anything new. I mean, lest we forget the playoff runs of the Red Sox in 03 and 04. Those,
Each one of those games was 5 hours.
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
those are like some groggy mornings the next morning at work.
And I guess in part it's just maybe that's just what it is with baseball. Maybe maybe it doesn't need to be fixed, but it just seems like a lot. A lot to me.
And don't also, I mean, you can sort of say maybe, it's regional, but when you get like these bigger name teams like the Cubs and the Red Sox and the Yankees playing on a national platform, there are two coasts that are watching this. So what's late for us ain't necessarily late for the West Coast.
But seriously, like a couple games this year have gone like 6 hours. In the regular season, there was like in early May, like the first 3 weeks of the season, there was a 6.5 hour game between like the Minnesota Twins and who gives a fuck. And it's like honestly, who like would you have two small kids? They're not ready to go to games. Mine are 10 and 7. I've taken them to NHL games. I might take the oldest one, to the Jets game if I work in a couple weeks. Those games are in and out in 3 hours. If there's a couple replays, a lot of penalties, you're talking 3.5, but there's a lot of action moving. A 5.5 hour, 4.5, 5 hour baseball game.
It's the nature of the game, though.
I can tell you, and
which is why I don't watch baseball.
I know.
With the Celtics, the Bruins, the NHL and the NBA, like we're fortunate enough we don't live too far outside of Boston. I've been to Celtics games. I've been to Bruins games where I'm home by 10:15, 10:30. Right. I'm like literally back in my house at that time
before the post-game read-game.
Yeah, and with this, I mean, this
conversation can't go any further for one reason: baseball doesn't have a clock.
Yeah,
that's the way it's just the nature of the fucking game.
Do you cut innings?
Do you?
Because, you know what?
Because I'll tell you this. I'm a hockey purist. One of the biggest things that I hate about hockey in the last 20 years is they put advertisement on the boards. They used to not be a billboard. And I every introduction to hockey I've hated the last 20, 30 years. I will say this. When they decided to get rid of ties, years ago and started playing overtime, and I don't like the shootouts, but I do like, and I thought I would hate it, I do like the 4-on-4 overtime. And now you're completely changing the nature of the game.
Do we do an 8-on-8
I know.
Yeah.
Well, no, but seriously, you have to be okay to change now. And hockey's one of those things. One of the things I hated, like the last 3 or 4 World Cups have come down to shootouts. You want the most important soccer game played in 4 years to become a skills competition like that. But I don't hate the shootout as much as I used to. I've gotten used to it. But I will say I love the 4-on-4 overtime.
You have like a home run derby at the 10th inning? Is that what you're talking about?
No, but maybe something dramatically changes. Maybe you cut it to 7 innings. You'll still have long games.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I just thought it was really long. And you brought up ironically Pete Rose earlier. It just that the 8th inning there, the pickoff, which was he was marked safe at first base. There was a play to first base, an attempt to pick off the runner at first base. He was called safe. They did the replay, and it was damn close, but he got called out. And Pete Rose, I remember years ago when all this stuff started coming up about, do we have replay in baseball? Should there be instant play? I believe it was Pete Rose who said the fans love when the umpire makes a mistake. The fans love when the umpire makes a mistake. I remember him. I believe it was him who said that, and I wonder. That play was just so close. I wonder if we lost something in the originalness of baseball.
Well, you mentioned, obviously, I was going to bring that up about the length of the game and the introduction of instant replay. I mean, it's not helping the cause.
No.
Slow. I mean, let's take a game that's already fucking slow and then pour some molasses on it.
I mean, he was
and
called
staple
safe.
it to
It was his call. It was his call, and they went back, they replayed it, and his foot came off the bag, and they felt they saw enough to overturn it irrefutably, but. It just, to me, I wonder if there's something lost in that.
I mean, there's a purist position you can take on something like that. I guess for the integrity of the game on big games and big calls, maybe there's a place for instant replay. I don't know how judiciously it's used in the games now. I don't know if they only reserve instant replays. I don't know if there's like a flag system where you can only call.
You get 2 challenges.
Yeah.
Unless your first one's wrong and then you don't. I think.
You're not counted or something like that. So that's I guess okay. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of bad calls that really turn the tides. Dramatically in big games that are just fucking wrong, and to have that, to give one man that much power,
right,
is just not a good idea.
I agree.
I wish we had
read
right man.
between
We need
the
instant.
lines.
We need instant replay in some other organizations. Why not?
Okay, so we've covered sports, we've covered crap, we've covered some time. Let's talk a little music. Well, we had a little music, we had some great rap, and now let's talk about your musical inspiration.
You left the C off of crap.
Talk about you living the dream. So you've gone to Ren Fair, you've gone to the gaming convention.
It was not my dream to go to Ren Fair.
You are, but the boobs were nice.
Yeah, they were.
And then, but now,
Later,
the dream is coming to town.
Santa Claus? No.
Better.
But better. So Friday, Weird Al Yankovic, who we all know and love, has announced a new North American tour. He's calling it I got to read this because it's long, the Ridiculously Self-Indulgent, Ill-Advised Vanity Tour. What it is, essentially, if you've ever been to a Weird Al concert, which I know you
hasn't.
But Jim,
I have.
I've been with Jim.
To many. I've been to a lot, actually.
Yeah, and you went to the last one when he was in the Wilbur.
I've actually been to 2 or 3 without you too.
Right, your significant other actually got you tickets as a present.
Yes, that
to
is
a
true.
Weird Al concert, so long story short, too late. The normal Weird Al concert is a multimedia extravaganza. He plays all the hits. He plays a couple of like deep cuts, but he does like a lot of costume changes, big TV screens. He plays bits and stuff in between costume changes. All that's being taken away on this tour. Like this is just like him and his band sitting down on like 4 stools, as he described it.
Acoustic?
I don't know if it's acoustic, but it's just them sitting down and playing like mostly original songs. Like he's not going to be playing a lot of Eat It's and White and Nerdies. He's going to be playing like deep cuts. Like he might pull out She Never Told Me She Was a Mime. Like that might be played. That's what the vanity part.
The excitement level on Joe's
exactly.
face. Like honestly, talk about a Christmas tree lighting up.
He's gonna play Christmas at Ground Zero.
His acoustic stuff is amazing.
Oh, like Melanie.
Yeah,
and,
like when he gets acoustic.
Those good old days.
Yeah, like it's impressive.
So
it's impressive.
Those who live in the Boston area, you can go see him March 2nd at Foxwoods, or if you want to stay closer to home in Boston, you can see him at the Wilbur on March 4th. Tickets go on sale Friday, October 20th at noontime Eastern, and they're also noontime local to whatever venues around the country. But I'm probably going to be, online noontime lunch hour. I'm going to be staking out a couple of tickets. Jacques, you'd let me know if you want me to pick up 4 more.
4.
1.
No, that I would. I definitely. I have not seen Weird Al.
But these are just he went out of his way, Weird Al, to say, look, this is not for the average fan. This is for the deeper cut fan, like basically me and Jim.
And you.
And I am deeply cut.
So that is
Bowling Shoe Blues.
No, the generic blues.
Generic blues.
Bowling Shoe Blues is what we talk about.
Yeah, that's my life. Sorry.
That's an joke.
So we asked earlier about like some ideas for like when we were talking about we did a Resident Evil last weekend for Sideshow. Next weekend we're going to try to maybe do our first holiday special, or kind of geared towards Halloween. Is that the next podcast closest to Halloween? Should be the next one or the one after?
Well, are you talking about our podcast?
Podcast, Carnival Personnel.
Gee, I got to look at the calendar.
But either way, if you guys got ideas, like, we've been throwing around ideas like, are there real Halloween songs? I don't mean obscure things, something that is universally accepted as a Halloween song other than Monster Mash is, costume ideas, like favorite candies. If you got ideas for the Halloween episode, tweet them at Joe, tweet them at the show, tweet them at me,
Facebook. Nobody uses Twitter.
Facebook,
Fuck Twitter.
Facebook it, or just scream at Jim as he drives by, because I think that's social media for him.
To get me.
Yeah, just scream at him, and he will respond.
Oh, damn it.
And I just so
I'll tell you can't get me on this damn phone. I'll tell you that. It's not working too
you
well
sons
right
of
now.
bitches. All right, yeah, so that will be aired October 30th. That'll be the Monday, October 30th.
Great. Okay.
Right before Halloween.
So we'll do that one. So any ideas, please send them our way. As far as the regular things, any ideas about the show and topics, please, tweet, Facebook them, as I've been told. Oh, how about Instagram? We don't have Instagram accounts, but you can
Instagram on our behalf. Hashtag Carnival Personnel. 2 N's.
This week we have staying with the gaming thing. This is our third gaming sideshow in a row. Mario, Resident Evil.
Might as well. And now we're going to do Castlevania. On account of the spookiness.
So if you're going to off yourself after this podcast and before sideshow, just stick around through next week's sideshow, and maybe that will give you a reason to go on.
I'm going to tell you more about Castlevania than I even know.
So as always, thank you for listening. Jimmy, got any parting shots?
No, thank you for letting me be here again. I really
we don't let
make
you
this work with you guys. I'm
You're
excited to be here.
Always welcome. Always welcome, and don't be too excited.
Listen.
It's palpable.
Right. No one's listening. That's the problem.
Yeah, see, the only problem with you being here is that takes
now there's nobody listening.
Half of our listenership. I did get it. I just got on the phone. I got this week's F&H update. Biff said he really sucked. I usually say Biff sucks. Biff said he sucks. He was glad that John wasn't there. He had a situation where the douchebag Nick was on a breakaway and the wheels about to come off, and Biff thought, I could pop him right now. But our friend Guitar Center Scotty was right behind him, and Biff didn't want a collateral damage, so he didn't take out Nick. Nick ends up scoring. So Scotty Black, you can go fuck yourself. Keep your head up, because Biff is not going to. He doesn't care if you pay your $27. If you keep him from leveling Nick, you brought it upon yourself. What were you wearing?
That Biff, what a character! Always trying to get away with something.
Any last thoughts?
No.
Well, then I'll end it by saying, do not forget